Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
There's something about Good Burger that instantly pulls people back to the 90s. Whether you grew up watching All That skits or caught this Nickelodeon movie during endless cable reruns, this IP holds serious nostalgia power. But rewatching it in 2025 raises a big question. Does it actually hold up? From Ed's clueless one-liners to Kenan Thompson's straight man energy and that absolutely unhinged plot involving corporate burger warfare, we're breaking it all down. We're diving deep into the comedy, the performances, the pure 90s chaos, and yes, the product placement, to figure out if this movie was a hidden gem of kids' comedy or just plain ridiculous. Hello, please come in. There's some fresh cookies in the cookie jar. There's a pitcher of Kool-Aid on the counter. Have a seat. We'll put a movie on for you. This is Movies at Grandma's House, where we look at the movies from the past to see if they're good with our modern eyes and Grandma approves. And I'm your host, Isaac. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. May I take your order? And who's joining me to consider the movie Good Burger?
This is Seth. I know some of these words.
And welcome one and all the grandmas. Glad you're stopping by. How are you doing, Seth?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you today, Isaac?
I am doing wonderful. I'm excited to get into this one. There's a lot of nostalgia with this film. I'm sure we're going to bring out some fun memories with this one. But before we do, consider this your proper spoiler warning. From here on out, we're going to jump into the movie, talk about the details, so consider yourself warned. So, again, we are considering the movie Good Burger. This was released back on July 19th, 1997. It had a budget of $8.5 million. It had a box office, though, of $23.7 million. Looking around at reviews, IMDb has a 5.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is at a 33%, and Metacritic has a 41 out of 100. You can find this on pretty much all the major streaming services outside of Peacock and HBO Max. It's on Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, Amazon Prime, and YouTube, to name a few. It stars Kel Mitchell, Kenan Thompson, Sinbad, and many more in this Nickelodeon spinoff from the TV show All That. And last but not least, we got to get Granny's family-friendly rating. So Seth, what is that rating?
So Granny's family-friendly rating for Good Burger is a B- for crude humor, adult themes, and language.
So there you go. So there's a quick rundown of the movie. It is coming up on the big 3-0 just in a few years. It's crazy to think about that. So with that in mind, going back all those years, I'm interested to hear your thoughts first. What are some of your first memories?
So I saw this when I was a kid, and it quickly became one of my favorites. So this is one that I'm overly familiar with.
That's cool. Some movies are like that. And for me, I'm kind of the opposite. I don't remember watching it, but maybe one time, just when it came out, I was a big fan of All That. I think if you had Nickelodeon, you watched All That, you enjoyed it. So I can't explain why. Maybe it was just I was getting older and distracted with other things, but I just don't have much of a recollection. So this was kind of like revisiting it for the first time. That's kind of my memories with it. Yeah, there's not very many movies like that we've considered, but I do have the nostalgia for that, as crazy as it is, because it's tied so closely to All That and that skit. And Kenan and Kel were big in the 90s. So this is just, it screams 90s. We'll get into it. I'm not going to say any more, but just even previews, it takes me back to the 90s. That's what this film has about it. With that said, kind of gave away mine, but I want to hear from you first. What were some of your expectations going back on the rewatch?
So I tried to keep an open mind. The nostalgia was so strong. So really it was just enjoy the show.
There you go. Well, for me, like I said, I was like, this is kind of like going into it fresh. And as always, just curious to see what my kids thought of it. But I was also having an open mind like you, just like, all right, let's see how this thing plays out in 2025, nearly 30 years later. So that was pretty much it. But before we jump into our plot rewind, let's pause just a moment to hear from our sponsor. Hey, love movies as much as we do? Then bring the experience of the theater to your walls with movieposters.com. Whether you're into the classics, the blockbusters, or indie gems, they have something for every single film fanatic. As a listener of our podcast, you can save up to 15% on your order right now. Just use code Grandma's House 15 at checkout. Head to movieposters.com and let's build your ultimate collection today. Okay, let's take the VHS out of the cover. Let's put it in the VCR and press play.
Dexter is starting his summer vacation by taking his mom's car for a joyride. He gets into an accident hitting a man's car played by Sinbad. To fix the car, he gets a job in fast food. Soon he realizes it will take a very long time to pay off the damages, so he tricks a coworker into skimming some money from him. Don't get me started on Mondo Burger. This comedy is nonstop humor. Grab a cookie. Grandma's putting on another 90s classic.
Very nice. I like that touch there. That's kind of what this movie does. It's like a comfort food in a way. It brings you back the nostalgia. If you lived through the 90s, you just had to be there. This screams it very much. But that's kind of what I sense at first impressions, just to summarize it. But I want to hear from you. What are some of your first impressions of this film?
So honestly, I was thinking, because it's almost been 30 years, that it wouldn't have aged well. But I was surprised, in my opinion, it hadn't aged that bad as I thought, like as bad as I thought it would have.
Yeah, I could see that with the 90s. Now, I'll say for my taste, I used to love all that. So I was actually a little bit of the opposite. I felt it didn't age as well. And I do blame that on just being older, probably, because this is not holding anything back. It admits this is pretty much for kids. This is silliness to the core. So just buckle up and enjoy the ride. And that's what I had the approach on. I guess I was noticing more flaws when it comes to like things you should just turn your brain off on. I think that's what it comes down to. But we'll get into it more. I still think this is a interesting way to adopt the movie. What did you think of the plot, that, idea of these like rivalry burger joints?
So I really enjoyed the storyline. What I found interesting, and I don't know if you'll bring this up later, but I thought I'd mention it, was that the story is very unique in the fact that it starts out with Dexter's character, and it sets up the whole plot of the movie, but yet it leans in like the third act, maybe the going into the third act, maybe a little bit of Ed's character being the main character. And I think that's very unique in a children's film. I think that's very unique in the storyline about fast food and everything, how they made it so deep about like getting money to pay off an accident, like to repair a car. That to me was a very unique storyline. So I really liked it. I really enjoyed the story.
And you got good old Sinbad there as the teacher. So I'm sure we'll get into the characters more, but I mean, he was kind of the big spot for me. That's another part of what screamed 90s, and Sinbad was in so many movies, this included. And I think the story, it starts out a little slow, and that's okay. Like we've talked about that. It doesn't have to jump right in. Sometimes you go too fast, it does the opposite. It does more damage than if you would have just took your time with it. I do think it developed, like once it got to Ed and the secret sauce, it actually was really engaging. I'll be honest. I was kind of a little lost at first because it was just really wacky. And that's where I go back to. I was probably nitpicking a lot just now that I'm an adult, because there was so much. I mean, when you're watching it, it's like dialed to an 11 of, I know I just said it starts out slow, but I'm talking plot-wise. For the plot to develop, it was just more like, here's these people, here's all the chaos. And it was kind of all over the place in a slower development side. But once the sauce came out, it actually had an interesting story. Like you said, it's unique of this rivalry, and it does that. I do appreciate that. Like it was focusing on Dexter, Kenan Thompson's character, of this is his dilemma. He has all this money to pay back, and he's only making, it's so funny, that makes it 90s, $5 an hour. I mean, it was just like, when you hear money, you're just like, wow, that just aged me so much, because I can remember $5 wasn't a terrible paying job. That was your fast food, but that just sounds outrageous nowadays. And You have, what was it, 1,900 for the estimate, and then 2,500. Is that right for the damage he did to his car?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
I'm thinking that's not too bad in my mind, because I'm like, that was a lot of damage he did to the teacher's car, Sinbad's car. But I think said it's got chrome, it's got this, and it was 22,000. I'm like, that's it for that kind of a car for its time. So this movie's got that, like, again, 90s to it. It really oozes the nostalgia for me. It took me back in that way. That's something I really enjoyed about this movie. But yeah, open it up to you. What else kind of jumps out at you?
Well, I'm a car guy, so I'll talk about in the fun facts, but the car that he borrows is a really cool car. A friend of mine loves those, and so we've had many conversations. But to me, I could see how the plot, like the main plot, took a little build, but for me, it jumped right in with the humor, and the accident was like, it was cringy to me because, like, the car was so beautiful and everything, and I really dug it. You'll see from the rest of my review, but spoiler alert.
Yeah, I like that aspect of, like, the accident and stuff, but I guess maybe that's what that drew me in more, and I love that. I love that you were drawn in from the accident, and I thought it was good. I'm not knocking it, but I thought it was just something about, okay, you're seeing the traditional. I mean, Good Burger is this really terrible place to go get a burger. I mean, it's, as hilarious as it is, why would you go there? You know, that's what you keep telling yourself. It's like, but that's like part of the comedy. That's what it is. And that's what it was on All That. You had a lot of angry customers coming and going, but that sauce is where it was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense of how they can rival this big corporate. They make it Mondo Burgers, the corporate greedy people. So they captured that part of it too. And that aspect just drew me in. I don't know. I really like that. But I think that's cool. We both felt it at different times, like where it was starting to actually draw you in. Now we can't go on any farther, I don't think, until we talk about the characters. So I'm really interested. What did you think of the characters?
So we can dissect them, but here's the thing. Actually wrote down a lot of notes about these. So here, I'll try to go through it quickly.
Go for it.
So we had Dexter and Ed, and they're hilarious, of course. And for those of us that grew up on All That and the Kenan and Kel show, it was a spinoff that definitely was welcomed for the fans. So the vibrant characters with a superb timing of delivery, and then you add in Sinbad and Abe Vigoda as well, and even George Clinton makes an appearance. I mean, how can you go wrong with all that stuff? I mean, it's like a group of experts.
Yeah. I think the characters, again, they did a good job adopting from All That. Kenan, Dexter, his character was new. They added him in there. But going back to what you're saying about the accident, they gave him the story. They gave him even though he was just introduced into the movies, not that the characters in the TV show had a lot of backstory either, but you're from Ed, of course. But they did a good job of that. Like, yeah, the characters are well introduced. Now, one thing I will say that didn't age well for me is I didn't think the acting was especially good. And it's not so much Kel and Kenan, but the one character, I forget her name. She was the blonde.
Oh,
there's a few cringy parts where she delivered the lines and they were just really bad. So that's the part I didn't like. Was it wasn't everybody. The manager, I think his name was Mr. Bailey. He was the producer guy, I think, on All That, and had a lot of involvement in Nickelodeon stuff. But there was a few lines he was also kind of cringy. Like, it didn't hit for me. Maybe that's the line or the delivery he was going for, but it felt like it was a little off to me. But Kenan and Kel, they're the same as always. Like, they had their own TV show. If you watched a TV show, if you watched All That, you're going to get the same thing. So how can you not enjoy that? And Kel was one of my favorites on All That. I really enjoyed, not just in Good Burger skit, but all the other skits he did. So I enjoyed it, as silly and outlandish as he was. I'll say right now, like, my kids did not like this movie. They were just, oh, this is terrible. I don't know if they're too sophisticated for this type of humor, But I did catch them laughing. So I will call them out a little bit. They didn't like it and they were just like, when is this over? And just really dreading it. But they couldn't help but laugh. And that tells you it stood the test of time on the comedy that, yes, it's targeted for kids. Even if they act like they don't like it, they're going to laugh at it. So I appreciated that. But yeah. So what else? I'm really interested to hear what else you got.
That's pretty much it for like with the characters. I mean, I could talk a little bit about how it's like, it was to me, I was caught off guard a little bit by how devious Dexter was. His character was like, he used trickery basically to skim money from Ed, and not only that, but he went back and forth between the Mondo Burger and the Good Burger, and it was just kind of devious like behavior, but it was still funny at the same time. I don't know how they pulled that off, really, honestly. Like he's actually kind of a bad guy at the beginning of the movie, and then you kind of feel for him later. So I don't know, but it's interesting. I like that, but he kind of took advantage of his friend for a little bit until he realized that he was taking advantage of him. Then he realized that he tried to turn around. So I thought that was nice.
That's one thing about it, is going back to that character arc or the plot part of it, is he has that accident and then he's more just focused on, I got to get this money. He's not going to make enough hourly, but with Ed Sauce, he rigs that contract so that he's benefiting from it, and backfires on him because he likes the one girl. What's her name again? I'm blanking now. That's terrible.
I looked it up and I forgot already.
Because there's a lot of obviously a bunch of people that work at
Monique.
That's it, Monique. He has an interest in her, and they hit it off and have the interest in each other. But she finds that contract; it falls out of his coat and calls him out on it. So I like that part too. That helped him see, like, I'm kind of sneaky, and that's his character at the very beginning. I mean, he's falling asleep in class. He's like, I don't care about school. He just seems like this, I'm out for just me. But he has that character arc. So me, I'm a sucker for good character arcs, as silly and just all over the place as this is. It's got some heart. It's got some good character development to it. So I give it a lot of credit in that way. Well, it's a comedy. So I think the other thing we got to touch on is the quotes. What were some quotes that you appreciated?
So I'm going to try to go through them here. I've got quite a few, so bear with me.
Yeah, go for it.
I cut quite a few out, so if that makes any difference. My first one, if you've watched the movie, you'll get it. But why? Then also, I wanted to make mention of the two songs that are like original songs for the film that are silly but funny, like the I'm a Dude song, the Opposable Thumb song. I love those songs. They're just hilarious. I love the scene in Mondo Burger when Kurt says, "You mess with Kurt and you go into the grinder." And then Dexter says, "Okay, now this grinder of yours, is it a real grinder or is it some crazy metaphor?" And then I like it when the guy's asking about his driving experience, and he says, "Do you have any accidents on your record?" And he goes, "Not to your knowledge." And then a quote that I say to my nephew all the time, which is like, I'm sure I'm the only one on earth that quotes this, is when he goes into Mondo Burger to like hijack the place or whatever, and he's asking for excuse. He's like looking for an excuse to get away, and he's like, "What? I love that. Love that line. It's hilarious. Those are my quotes. Those are my favorite quotes.
There's some good ones. I think that's a strength of this movie. Is silly. It is just so, like, dare I say, some are dad jokes. They're just so cheesy and corny, but they're so cheesy and so corny that you can't help but chuckle. Going back to my kids, like I think that's what they thought. It was just like, this is so dumb. But then they're just kind of like, okay, that's kind of funny. But my favorite, I think, is Dexter says to Ed, he's like, it's at the very beginning when they're at Good Burger, like he just had the accident and everything. He's like, "Do I know you?" And Ed's, ever been to Australia? He's like, "No, me either." That's like, I laughed actually out loud at that. Like, I was like, that's a good one, because you think it's going, I'm a sucker for those kind of jokes. Like you think it's going somewhere and then it just pulls the rug from under you kind of. I love those. It's great. That was a great line, I thought. Like I could just watch, and that's maybe why I appreciated all that skit, because that's all it was just nothing but customer after customer after customer coming in with some complaint, and it was so crazy. But they did that in the movie, and I love that, how it's just like kind of fit in there. There's all the plot and everything going on, but then every once in a while there's that customer, the one that says, "Excuse me, there's nothing on this." He's like, "Yeah, you ordered nothing on it." He's like, "I didn't want anything on it. I want the patty." "Well, the patty is something." Just it's so silly, but it's great. I was finding myself chuckling at it. So
it's great.
The quotes, if you can just buy into the type of humor it is, you should have a good time with it. But but I'll say, you know, I'll go back to it. It was kind of tough because it kind of was a different perspective. I think I would have loved this if I would have watched it more as a kid. Coming back to an adult, I'm looking at it with different eyes. So that was what kind of caught me off guard, to be honest. I was kind of like, I'm not looking at it as much as I would have as from a kid's perspective, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense anyway.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I'm very interested to hear. I'm sure there's some really interesting fun facts. So what you got?
Got a couple. So in the theatrical trailer featured a scene that did not quite make it to the film. It featured a Good Burger customer saying, "Just give me a good shake." And then Ed reaches over the counter and to actually shake him physically. Which I thought was quite funny. And I kind of remember that actually. So
yes, it might have been a skit from all that.
It might have been. With the exception of the scenes of Demented Hills, Ed wears the Good Burger uniform throughout the entire film, even in the shower. So
going back to all that silliness, that's the first thing you see about Ed is he wakes up and he gets in the shower. That's probably what was my kids were like, what? It's just embracing the silly. Absolutely.
And I'd be mad at myself if I didn't mention this one. So Dexter's mom's car is a 1995 Nissan 300ZX 2+2 Z32. And that was like the car back then that, you know, everybody was into. And it was very a different style. It looked very different and unique, and it just looked so exotic. And I love that car. I'm a big Z fan, so I'm a fan of those. So I had to bring that out.
Did you cringe a little bit when it wrecked?
Yes, I really did. It was hard to watch, and it still is. After all these years, I've seen this movie probably 10 times or more. So it's still hard. It's still hard to see the car get wrecked. Yeah.
I do that. When I see a car, I'm like, ooh, that's really nice. And then it gets totaled. I'm just like, oh, I know it's fictional, but that was still a car that in real life, they were like, all right, guys, let's do this take. Let's make it good. We're going to total it or get it
on
damaged.
Top of that, you brought out Sinbad's car. So Sinbad's car was an Infiniti. And if you were to sell like the baseline of Infiniti today would be about $50,000.
Wow.
So it was a nice car back then. Yeah.
20,000 is like your almost entry level. Sad to say, I think.
Yeah, but back then I feel like this was 97, so I would say like 15,000 would be a nice car.
Yeah,
maybe 17,000 would be a nice car. So, it's you know that's something.
I could say most people got what is now considered base of like your 20,000. It was under 10,000. I could be wrong. But 9,000.
I don't know. It could have been. I try to put my mind in the prices right because that's where I like gauge all the cars and the history in my mind. So
it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I'll have to look that up, like the whole metrics of inflation and what it'd be today.
Yeah.
It's so intriguing when you just look at today, just like, wow, you lived through it. You don't, it's been so many years, but yeah, when he said the 22,000, I mean, that's what I was thinking is like, no, this is a nice car. I mean, that's reasonable, but you got to put yourself back into it. That's a different price point with inflation nowadays. So, okay.
Well, it's time. Are you ready for the fun fact trivia question?
I'm going to do my best.
I think you'll get this one. I'm pretty confident. So, before Good Burger 2, Keenan and Kel reunited for a Good Burger sketch on what late night show? A, Jimmy Kimmel Live, B, Stephen Colbert on Late Night, or C, Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon?
Why am I blanking? Because it should be pretty obvious. I know.
It's not the obvious answer, actually. In fact, it's a clue.
Really?
Yeah.
My obvious would be Colbert, but I was like, it's between the Jimmys. Jimmy Fallon does that kind of stuff all the time. I'm like, that's the obvious choice. And I'm remembering Jimmy Kimmel had like Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd to do Back to the Future. So he does that kind of stuff too. Those are what so you gave me a clue. I'm drawing a blank, so I'm going to go with Colbert.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It was Jimmy Fallon.
Oh.
So, the reason why I said it's not the obvious is because it's a Paramount production, and Paramount's CBS and them are together. So that's the obvious to me. And then, unfortunately, it was Jimmy Fallon. He likes to reunite old shows.
Yeah,
like when he first started, he wanted to reunite Saved by the Bell. I remember that. He finally did, like 10 years later or something.
Yeah, that would have been like my first, because Jimmy Fallon has done, like you mentioned, there are a few of them, but that's all right. I was still second guessing myself.
Sorry.
It wasn't I was not 100% on that, because I'm like, man, that's a good one.
I guess it was a better question than I thought it was. So.
It was. You tripped me up. You got me. You got me second guessing myself, because sometimes it's like a question seems so obvious, but you trip yourself up. You're your own worst enemy. So, well, I'll get the next one. I'm going to start a new streak. I'm going to really try hard to get back on the winning streak of getting those trivia questions. But thank you for that. That was a good one. All right. Before we get to our reviews, let's take a look around the net and see what kind of reviews are out there. So, Seth, what kind of reviews you see there?
All right. The first review I found was Unique Particle said, I might be crazy, but this is one of my favorites, 10 out of 10.
Wow. That has to be if you're giving it a 10. All right. Got one as their favorite. That's cool.
So Film Critic 624 says, welcome to Good Burger, 8 out of 10.
All right. That's a good one. Yep. It will forever go down as Welcome to Good Burger. As simple of an intro as it is, say it to any 90s kid and they could finish it for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So the last one I found here was MB-Reviewer 185 says, a comedy with everything on it, 5 out of 10.
Okay. So he thought it was probably about average then, yeah. I mean, again, you probably can take it or leave it when it comes to this humor. You got to have that kind of silliness, and it's still clever, I think. I'll defend the humor. Like it's silly and out there, but you should appreciate some of it. But I could see why they would feel that way. All right, well, let's get down to it. And again, we kind of tweaked our ratings just slightly on the wording, so it's a little different. We had a few people say it threw them off a little bit on our last episode. So I'm going to start with you, Seth, for Good Burger. How are you going to rate it? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to watch it at grandma's? Or are you going to hide it in the attic?
So I will say it's a 90s classic for everyone who grew up in that era. It's pure nostalgia for me, so I can do nothing but take this home.
Very nice. I totally get that. You know me, when it hits the nostalgia bone, I'm a sucker for it. So that's awesome that you got to enjoy that. I could tell when we talked about doing this movie, I was like, oh, this is one of those movies. So I cannot wait to hear your thoughts on it. That's awesome. Well, for me, I found myself enjoying it. I thought it was funny. Just like you, it drew me back into the nostalgia. I will say this is one of those movies that is not trying to be Citizen Kane, if that makes sense. It's not trying to be this like epic drama movie. It is so silly. It's so out there. I'll say, I think the acting is actually what I'll knock a little bit. And I don't, again, take Keenan and Kel. They play those characters well. I feel like the supporting cast were a little bit on the weaker side, but that's just me watching it nowadays. I think as a kid, you don't care. That's not going to be the focal point. That might be, again, my expectations are a little high. I enjoyed this movie. I'll just be frank. I probably don't have any reason to really revisit. I also don't have the nostalgia like you. So this is a respectful Hide It in the Attic for that reason. If it's on, I was wondering.
Where did that come from?
Don't hate me. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. I threw you a curveball. I respectfully, I appreciate it, but it's one of those, I don't know if I'll revisit it. If I do, I'm probably going to enjoy it, but it was tough watch nowadays just because of those reasons that I mentioned. But I do like the nostalgia again. It reminds me of those Nickelodeon days, the 90s. I in no way want to compare this because you'll find this offensive, but it's kind of like the Flintstones in a way. Like it reminds me of that nostalgia, but I don't need to revisit it. It's still its own thing. So I want to make that clear. But that's, I'm just going with my gut. Maybe if I do revisit it, I'll have a change of thoughts. I certainly don't hate this movie. I don't want to like bury it in the attic, but that's how my rating was on my gut. So there's my hot take.
I'll have to find one of the orange VHS tapes and mail it to you.
I like it. I love it. Yes, I bet
it was love.
That might be it, maybe, because I watched this on streaming. So maybe if I get the VHS out again, give it another chance, I could flip the script and just get really pulled into that nostalgia a little bit more. I think it just didn't pull me in as much as obviously you, but yeah.
I'll barrage you with a bunch of all that clips.
There we go. I welcome them. Oh, I'd love to revisit those. I'm sure, now I'm as an adult, I'll have a different perspective, but that's so much fun to go down memory lane. So, well, there you go, folks. We got another one in the books. But before we wrap things up, Seth, why don't you tell the good people where they can find and connect with us?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can email us at moviesatgrandmashouse@gmail.com. We have a newsletter, so keep up to date with all things at Movies at Grandma's House. And we're on Patreon, so check us out, become a member. Also, go to movieposters.com and type in Grandma's House 15 at checkout for 15% off.
You go. Yeah, be sure you find and connect with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your memories, because maybe you have all that nostalgia for Good Burger like Seth. Maybe you don't like me. We'd love to hear from you. And maybe we can start a poll out there. What are your thoughts on Good Burger? Do you have that nostalgia? We want to hear from you guys. It's a lot of fun to get in and hear those memories. And like Seth mentioned, get in our newsletter. You can be entered for a free movie poster of your choice. It's a monthly contest we do. So don't forget to sign up and don't miss out.
Can I say one more thing?
Go for it.
If this were a horrible movie, just terrible, and it had Sinbad in it, I would still take it home.
Yes, we didn't talk about Sinbad. Oh, man. Well, join us on the next recap. We'll definitely bring that up. We also do live, so make sure you're subscribed. There you go. We're going to have to talk about Sinbad more for sure. Well, that's going to do it for our time at Grandma's, but don't worry. We will be back soon. So in the meantime, remember to be kind and rewind. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.